Hi everyone, Ann Cornick from Paint and Porcelain Exchange. And today we're going to be working on a Zentangle Butterfly. Now, I know it's a little odd, but I kind of thought it would be sort of fun. It's a good pen exercise. You really need to learn how to use your pens. So like I said, we're going to be doing a beginner Zentangle, and that's the reason I chose the Zentangle I did. I wanted to make sure that we went through and talked about the basics of pens and oils and all that kind of thing for all of our new people. This is the way mine turned out. This is an itty bitty tiny one, and this is the reason I actually changed it to a larger version, because when I got this one done, I thought, oh my God, there's no way I'm going to be able to paint it in. I was talking about how you can get these Zentangles and how you can find them free. So if you Google free Zentangle butterflies, you will get a number of different things. You know, you choose images and then you get all these pictures that you can look at. This butterfly that we're doing today came off of one for beginners. I specifically Googled beginner Zentangles. And when I saw this, I just thought it was fantastically easy and something I knew I could even do. So, because the pen has always been my nemesis. So there are many more. If you get to this one particular one, if you find this butterfly online, there are many more that you will find in that section that are butterflies, all kinds, and they're absolutely beautiful. If you like it and it's something you really want to do a couple more of, like maybe a set of little dishes or something, then you can just Google it and find it. Okay, of course I started with my line drawing, and I used the tracing paper is Saral Wrap, S-A-R-A-L, and it has a dark side and a light side. You want the dark side to go against your china, and then you just put it on your china and trace it. And when you take it off, you will have a red outline like this. Now, don't do pen work over the red outline, because you're going to try to use your pen over the outline. So don't use your, if I said pen work, that's the wrong term. Don't use your Sharpie over the red is what I meant to say. Because if you do, you're not going to be able to see what you do with your pen. And it could get very frustrating for you. But if you've already done that, try it. What's the worst that can happen? You might have to start over again, but that should work. Now, I have pens for today. I have pen oil for today, and I have pen nibs. And they're nibs. I checked online because everybody said, what are they? Nibs, nubs, what are they? Okay. So the first thing is, as far as pens go, this is the pen I started out with. And I'm sure many of you did. This is a plastic pen that you can get cheaply at any art store. And the nib does come out, but you have to pull with all your might. And sometimes it chips off and then you can't get it back in. And this was the one I used for years. In fact, you can tell by the point, if you can see the point on there, it's totally flat. I didn't know you were supposed to change your nibs when they got flat or when they split. I just kept using it, and I kept having terrible time trying to apply the stuff. Then I switched to my dad's pens because I went through his, and he had these big ones like this. And they worked really well for me, but of course most of these are very thick. And so I was getting real thick lines, and I didn't really want them. I mean, they work great for stems, but it wasn't what I wanted to do for detail work. But this worked better for me, and I don't know why. Maybe it was a better nib on it. Okay. Finally, I ended up with this one, and I love this. Watch this. It comes completely apart. You just unscrew this. Come on. I had it unscrewed just a little while ago, and it comes completely apart. Then you're left with this section, which is two sections. You take this off, and you've got your nib. And you can take the nib out, clean in there if you need to, clean the nib if you need to, put it back in, and reassemble. Now, nibs. I was always told that you should use a 102. How do you know what size to get? I have a bunch of pen nibs here, but I pulled one out just so you could see. And I'm going to look on here. Usually where the pen nib, it's round and it comes together at a certain point. there's writing on it. And right there, and I'm sure you can't see it, or maybe you can, see 107. They used to have them at Dallas and they don't anymore. I just checked there and I checked Maryland. Seeing now this one is a Hunt. That's one of the names of the kind of pen nibs you can get. I've also been using, I wrote them down, Speedball I use, and it's really easy to find, and it writes really well. And I've also been using Crow, and Crow, the nib is sold by Maryland China. So if you need a Crow, you can get it through Maryland China. But I just go to Dick Blick because that's close to my house. They also have an online service that you can, it's dickblick.com, and you can go there and get your pen nib. So if your nib is splitting, if it's worn, it's time for a new one. And if you just need to, this one you can just loosen a little bit and adjust it too, so that if you need it out a little further, you can just do that, and it's really easy. So I really like this particular pen now that I've learned how to use it. So if you look around, you might be able to find it. I prefer to start from powder. Now, you can start from pre-mixed. I don't know how much I'm going to need. There's a little more in there. Come on. Okay. You probably don't need this much, but I just put enough out there so I don't run out. And if you start from the powder, it seems to me, because it's fresh, that it does a better job. If you start from the oil that's on your palette, one that's maybe a yellow brown that's mixed up, unless it's really a fresh one, it does have a little drag to it to me. Now, there are two types of, three types of oil that you can use actually that I know of that work very well. One of them is outlining oil. And outlining oil is the one I started with. It's a very thin oil. And Sherry Kruger, who was at our last meeting, is the one that introduced us to not only the 107 nib, which is the one I now use because it's much finer, and it's also harder than the 102 that I started out with. So, and it seems to hold the ink longer, but it might be my imagination because it's the only one I can work right. Now, the other kind of oil you can use is the AMP5 Easy Flow. I get this from Dallas. It's a really good one. And like I said, I've had this for 6 years. I've used a half of this. And then if you want a drying pen oil, if you wanted this to dry so that you could paint right over it, you could use the AGS 21 drying pen oil. The only thing is it dries as you use it, and you kind of keep having to add oil to it. And I find a lot of times if I'm doing something that's intricate, it kind of is more difficult when the pen oil keeps drying on me. So I'm going to use the AMP5 Easy Flow, and I'm just going to take my palette knife and put a little on it. Now, I have a thin palette knife. If you have a thick palette knife, you might want to start by putting it to the side and pulling it in, because if you don't, you may find that, and I'm just going to dip this back in again, you may find that you're going to get too much oil right off the bat, okay? Now, I'm mixing it in. What you really want for a consistency is an ink consistency. So that means that it has to drip a little, right? Well, this isn't going to drip. This is like a paste, like what we paint with. So you're going to need to add a little more. So that's when I go to my dropper, and I take a little on the dropper, and I put it off to the side, okay? And I pull a little bit in and start mixing. And see what it, and look at how it changed, how quickly it changed. It really changes fast. So you don't want to add a lot of oil and think, oh, I know how much I need. You don't. You really don't. Every paint, when you mix it, mixes a little differently. And you will find some paints need less oil than others. I scrape it all together like this, put it in a puddle, and then I pick it up and see if it'll drip. Well, it's kind of a thick drip, so I'm going to take a little more of the oil and mix it in. get this over here. Come on. I think this might be a better consistency. You hold it up. Come here, you. Hold it up. Nope, still a little under the weather. So I'm going to take a little more and just add that. Oh, yeah, this is going to be good. All right. I try to keep it kind of in a pile because it seems like when I'm ready to use my pen, it's easier to get. Oh, come here. Okay. Come on, come on. Drip for me. See? It drips. Okay. So now I'm going to pull it all into one spot. Now that I've spread it all over everywhere. And you see I have a nice little puddle right there. That's what I'm going to work from. Make sure you close your bottle because those tall bottles like that spill really easily. And then I'm just going to paint. Use my pen. Okay, I'm going to load my pen. There's a little hole. Do you see that little hole in there? Oops, it flipped around on me. You see that little hole in there? You don't want to fill, it's about right there, halfway up. You don't want to fill the little hole. You do want to scoop it up, but you don't want to fill the little hole because that helps it flow for you. It gives it air and helps it flow. Okay, and then you're going to start. Now, this bowl is a little risky because it's got the higher sides. So I'm going to go, oh, hang on. Of course, it's going to give me a hard time today. I'm going to go straight down. One of the problems is I can't hold my pen at the angle that I should. You want to hold it at a 45-degree angle. There, maybe if I go up from the bottom, there. See how long my stuff lasted? Now, what I do is I load my pen, then I tap it on my tile. Because sometimes on the very end of it, I've noticed, I get a huge glob. And I don't want that to deposit on here. There we go. Okay. And you're just going to go slow. Don't be in a hurry. The slower you go, the better your results. Now, in the past, hi Susan. In the past, I've never had any luck with getting a whole piece like this, like the body of this guy, done with my pen, because my pen always runs out of oil. But now, it does much better, and I do better with it. And like I said, the reason I've chosen this color is because I intend to put gold over it, and I want to have something down so that I can work from it to put the color on. There we go. All the way out to the edge. There's see, that's the glob you get. When that happens, I take a Q-tip and just keep pressing it until I get most of the glob up, especially because I don't have this done in the Sharpie, so I have to be able, and then I start tapping, just tapping. Now, luckily, one side of this is the same as the other. Now I'm going to use this guy because he's really good. This is my my stump. Okay. Whew. That's why you always try to dot it before you come up. So that's why you always, 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 this is getting a little tricky for me here, but you always dab it before you start so you get off that lump if there is one on there. Let me go back up this way because that's not quite the same heaviness. Okay, and then I'm just going to do these other lines here. If you have a turntable, it's a godsend for a project like this. There, that's better. And the reason I want my my yellow-brown to be so apparent is because this is what's going to guide me to do my gold, if the gold works. Haven't really played with it yet, and as you know, I am not the world's greatest when it comes to using pens, but I'll tell you, since I've gotten this nib, and I can't say enough about it because you see what I'm doing now? I never would have done this before. There we go. The hardest thing is, I'd say if you're a beginner, try to choose something flat. Don't choose something like I did with the rim on it. My first one was relatively flat, and that's why I chose this one to do now. Because I thought I could handle it, but you never know if you can handle it or not. Okay, I have to look at the pattern for a minute. I want to see this side here. I kind of messed up the, oh, I see. Okay. I didn't mess much up. There wasn't much there. There was just this. Okay. I'm going to use metallics on this plate. I haven't used metallics in a really long time. I think it would make it very interesting. I'm not sure what color metallics I'm going to use, but I did pull my metallics out, and I have to tell you, this was awful. I should show you. So I pulled my metallics out, and I think this would be a good exercise in metallics. And this is how they look, which is fine, but I don't know if you can see the dust. See the dust as I hold this? Oh my God, it's just thick with dust. There is so much dust there, and oil. Look on this side. Look at all the oil. Can you see the oil glistening? You don't want your palette to look like that. Yellows and greens. Oh, that will be pretty. That will be pretty, Debbie. And so I'm going to try to use metallics, but if your palette ever looks like that, one thing you definitely need to do, there's probably too much dust even on your little, you know, your packs of metallic paint. So you need to pretty much start from scratch. And what I would recommend for you is just to, you know, offload it all, get rid of it all, clean the palette off, and start from scratch. Nobody's palette should ever get that bad. And if you're not sure how to clean a palette, it's pretty simple. You just start and you take off maybe the top row, label them, if you're not good with remembering what they are, because you don't want to put them back on and then go, oh, I don't know what I put there. Here, I got to go here a little darker. Oops. That's a case where I didn't have the pen on the right angle. And here, I got to attach that. Yeah, go over it with a fine-tooth comb when you're done. Make sure everything makes sense on this. But start with your top row, take them off, label them all, and then clean that section really well, and then move on and do the next row. And just keep doing that until you... Now, you may want to put all the blues together. If you have all the blues together, that's great. You know, and all the yellows and all that kind of thing. Oops, I'm losing my... Here we go. It's just the angle that I'm on. I'm not on a really good angle. And try to save room for new colors that you put out. I do my my palette kind of unusual. Let me show you real quick here. Instead of doing a regular palette like a lot of people do, I have a huge palette, of course. And I do every other, I have 1 inch by 1 inch blocks on here. And I try to do every other one with a color. So that way I have lots of room below it and above it to write the name and to write to work the color. And I find that that works very well for me. But I have a huge palette. If you have a small palette, then that may not work for you. So if you have metallics and you never use them and you think, oh geez, when am I going to use my metallics? This might be a good time for you to consider using them, because I think that they'll really enhance the piece and make it look a little special. Especially if it's a butterfly, you know, and you're supposed to have a little color with it. The gold metallic, the blue metallic, those are all very vibrant colors that work really well. I have not seen all of them, of course, so I don't know what to tell you about the rest, but I'm trying to hurry this up here so that we don't have to sit through this. So I'm just doing this one side so you can see how it's done. My little antenna here is a little not quite as heavy as the one on the other side, so I'm just going to go up it, make it a little heavier, and I'm going to look at everything, make sure everything attaches to the edges like this. If you have problems with this, don't give up. Remember, if you hold your pen on a 45-degree angle, you should be able to get this out of it. Don't hold it like this. Don't hold it on the side. 45-degree angle. This is the way my first Zentangle turned out. Now, I did this on a small plate intentionally because I wanted to see, could you do it on a small plate? And I decided that this is a little bit too small if you're a beginner, because it does take an awful lot of finesse to get everything just right. But as you can see, I used two colors. I used orange, or three, orange, yellow, and a deep blue green, and then I used gold. And this is a brown that I put around the edge and just patted it out. And then I put gold around the whole thing just to make it sparkle. And I am just thrilled with the way this turned out. Now, initially, I used yellow-brown so that I could put the gold over it to get the desired effect. Those lines you see, that's my blind there, unfortunately. One of the things I'm going to be doing is using metallics this week. So if you've never used metallics, this is the time to use them. I have a painter's collection. It's the only one I know that carries metallics at this time. And you may know of someone else that's terrific. This is my palette. This is the palette I use in, hi Edith. This is the palette that I use at Christmas time. I usually put my metallics up here and then I put my mattes down across the bottom. And then that gives me a number of different colors I can use. I'm using a blue, a pink. This is a copper actually. This is silver. This one here is pink pearl, and this one is gold. Hi, Candy. And I really wanted to use the metallics on this because I think you get such a nice finish. However, for me, I have found, hi, Louise, that I need about 2 coats on my metallics to get them exactly the way I want them. So these are some, this border is a metallic gold that you saw there. And this is 2 fires to get it this color. So I probably am going to have to do 2 fires of the metallic on here. And then at the very end, I will put the gold on. And see, there's the gold. That's the gold I did on this one. Now this I used regular paint. You can use regular paint or you can use the metallics. It's entirely up to you. So let's get started. Okay, so this has sand, like a rough surface on this side and a sponge on this side. You can still buy these from any of the China painting groups. And you just check and make sure everything is smooth. And just rub it around until everything is smooth. It doesn't leave any film usually, so that's a good thing. I don't know about you, but I keep a tile. I'm going to take out I have a stapler under there just to raise that up. I keep a tile for gold, for the liquid gold and for the Roman gold, so I don't waste my gold. People, blue, of course you do, Louise. I think that's your favorite color. And right now, see, this is this is totally solid. Now, I could use this gold if I wanted to. It's entirely up to me. And if I did use this gold, I normally would take and soften it up. I use lavender oil just to soften it up, or gold essence. No, gold facilitator. I have some gold facilitator too. I don't know if you've ever used gold facilitator. It's okay, but unless you're allergic to the smell of lavender oil, I kind of like the lavender oil. I also use the lavender oil. Let me move these brushes. I don't want to wreck them. To soften up my brushes. So I have these little saucers that I use. This is what they look like. And I just pour a little bit of my lavender in there, lavender oil, and then I just put my brush in, and it softens it. See how soft it is? Look how soft it is already. Now this one is very not soft, so I'm going to soak it in here. This one I just used the other day, so this one I haven't used in eons. And I'm going to have to leave it soak for longer, I can tell, because it's just not loosening up. But that's how I loosen up my brushes. I just put them in lavender oil. I let them soak in lavender oil, put some on them, and just leave them set with it on, and then come back to them and just keep playing with them. Now, as far as softening up the paint, that's the gold that's on here so I can use it, I just take a little lavender oil in a dropper, and I put a few drops on there and mix it in. Now this is Liquid Bright. I have a Dresden Liquid Bright. That's what this is, and I'm just letting the gold soak for a little while in this lavender oil. If you use the gold facilitator, which I haven't been able to find. These are old ones that I have. It happens a lot quicker, but if you use the lavender, it will eventually come to. See, it's starting to. Now, this is the Liquid Bright that I use. This is the Dresden Liquid Bright. It's an older one. It's from Ryan or Rins. So, and I also have another one here. I have a lot of these little guys. And these are, it says, and how I know it's Liquid Bright is it says LB and then it says gold. And these are from Color Art. And they're little tiny, tiny ones. Yeah, it's going to take a while to soften up. But that's how you can use up some of that stuff that's on here if you want. See, it's starting to soften up. Or the gold facilitator, I'll show you how quickly that works. This is the gold facilitator. I'll just take a little bit of this and just put it there, for instance. And it makes a huge difference. It goes really quick. Yeah, I use either lavender oil, and I use it for my enamels, and I use it for my, see how quickly that, right there? Yeah, the facilitator seems to work a little quicker. The lavender oil, I would put it on before I start normally, and then I would work it in with a brush or something. So, and then I have a brush that's dedicated to Liquid Bright. I have a blender like this that's dedicated so that I can pull it all together into a little pile from time to time. You know, that's kind of important when you're doing this. I have a small brush that's dedicated to Liquid Bright. It's still kind of gunky here, so we'll play with that. I'll just keep soaking it and it'll come to. And then I also have pens. I have this pen, which is a larger point pen, and I have this pen, which is a smaller point pen that I use. Now I have to just keep mixing this and mixing this until I bring it back. And that's how I would use this tile. And once I get a section that's mixed, then I could use it to bring it back and I could paint it. So I use this way to do the edge of my gold on here. That's what I did. And it had it on my brush. And then you can also use, because gold is a luster, you can also use Awesome if you want to just, if you need to clean. Like, let's say you're working with your pen and your pen gets all full of gold. You could use a little bit of Awesome. Just, I spray it on and wipe it off on a Kleenex. And see, it's gradually getting there. So if you did this like maybe half an hour before you started, then you'd have it. And everybody seems to have lavender oil. So that's why I suggest lavender oil. It's one of those things that everybody seems to have. Now, if we're going to do this guy, I think I just put no. Couple of things you need if you're going to use gold. First of all, obviously, you need the gold. The gold is very expensive right now. Very expensive. I have a section here where I can just scoop it up on my pen. And I can just, oops, let's get it going here. You use it the same way you would on any pen. Come on, there it goes. There you go. And I go right over the, brown, the yellow brown that I have there. Oops, that guy is not quite as nice as I would like him to be. With gold, you have to be careful. You can't just wipe it off. It will leave a purple stain. When you fire it and you get it out of the kiln, you use a gold eraser. This is an old one that I have. They're usually about this long. And they're just like this. They're like very hard. And you can use it to get any of the purple. Gold will turn purple. Like if you accidentally put your fingerprint on here and it turned purple, you could get it off with this. It takes a little while. See, and then you just trace. And you can go right over that. But first you have to put the two colors on. So I wanted to give you an idea of how you can use your, how you can finish this off if you want. And that's one good way. Now, to clean my pen, I take a Kleenex. I always have Awesome right here. Or you can just, if you have a dish and you want to fill it with Awesome, that's fine. And I just spray it on and clean my pen really well with the Awesome. And if I need to take it apart, I can. Or I can use a Q-tip and really clean it. But you'll see it cleans it, gets all the gold off of it, no problem. If you're just going to do something small, then I would do it in here. I would take my liquid bright gold and put it in here. However, this liquid bright gold, I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of gummy. It's not gummy, but it's sluggish. Let me say that for it. And so I would put it here. I put a little lavender oil with it, or I would put a little, if I have the gold essence or gold facilitator, I would put a little gold facilitator with it, and I would use my brush to mix it up, and then I would put my pen in it and use it right from here. And if I use it right from here, it hasn't had a chance to get any dust or anything in it. If I use this, I do keep it in a dust-free area. My desk has a sheet of glass. This is a sheet of glass. And under that, there's a opening about 3 inches high where I can slide. Let me show you here. Yep. Let's just, see, I can slide my stuff underneath. And then there's no dust that comes on it. So, this is what we did for today so far. And I have to decide, like you said, on what colors I want to use as far as my border. But this goes really, really, really quick. And if you fire this and it turns out looking just like it does now for the butterfly, I probably wouldn't add a lot more color to it unless it was like real streaky or something and I really needed to compensate for something. And then after you finally get the color here and the color on the butterfly, you're going to want to go ahead and use a pen in the liquid bright gold and go over your butterfly. So I fired the design on first. This is the first fire here. Then I'll paint it. So this side of the butterfly is the second fire. Then if I need it darker, I will paint it again and fire it and the edge. I'll paint the rim as well. And then I will do the gold last. Gold is always last. Pick up those brushes and keep painting, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye. Program. And I hope you'll take a minute to subscribe so that other people can learn more about China painting and we can get the word out to more people. You also can look at the links below. My Paintnporcelain.com website has a lot of freebies and printables for new and experienced painters, as well as studies, supplies, and even some of my hand-painted china. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.